talk a little bit about general sports betting, but we're going to talk about my man Sheets. I mean, we've been on a mini combo heater. We both keep like winning, doing well, and the other one's not quite doing well at the same time. But Sheets has been on fire lately, and he had a nice night last night.
I was really proud of the way I did it. I'm going to talk about it because, and again, we went over my football thing. I was very up front of saying that I kind of got lucky just the way I kind of built it, just kind of happened. But I was actually really happy with the way it worked out because, first of all, let's go backwards. I want to really get a little more credit for a take that I'm not going to get credit for being worked out. Like I was like really like pumped that Kershaw was going to just go freaking mow these people down, and he did. But the problem is that when Darvish was scratched, basically Kershaw was forced to be 100% owned. You know what I mean? Because there was just no other option to get that. I presume to get those points, and he ended up in the tournaments I was in like 70% owned, right? Which I guess made sense. But what happened was. And again, this is where I was kind of happy with myself. When Darvish was scratched, it was a weird time that I looked at it because you had to like change things, right? And you had to redo your lineups. And I usually get really, really lazy about them. All right, I'll just throw in Kershaw and I said, who else is scratching the Cubs? I'll replace him with whatever. But I basically just redid like everything. You know what I mean? And I recrunched, I redid whatever, and then I looked at my lineups. So okay. And then when another guy was scratched, I thought he was going to play. I redid it again. I really put a lot of work into it, which I don't usually do. And then so I was looking at my lineups, it was good. And then it just kind of worked out. But it was really funny, I don't know what it is. So I had some good lineups going, and I had Tatis, Wong, and Pham from that Cardinals and Padres game, right? So Wong got a home run his first at bat. He was already made it. You know what I mean? He was going to do fine. And Pham, like, dude, he was like 4 for 4 with singles. And I'm watching. I'm like, I just need Tatis to do something. And I'm watching him, and I'm like, ugh, he's not doing freaking anything. I mean, like, this is why I never play this guy. And I see him hit freaking home runs every freaking game. This guy sucks. I don't know what everybody's big deal is about freaking Tatis. I'm just watching. He's just hitting. And then all of a sudden, man, just boom, one home run, boom, another home run. I'm like, all right, that's why the guy's freaking the nuts, right? So then he ended up just killing it. And then the Dodgers, I mean, like the Dodgers from a hitting perspective was just like nobody had him, and they didn't do anything. So thank God, I guess. And Kershaw just mowed everybody down. And I also cashed in the 555 as well. Got like 30th place in that with pretty much the same lineup. And then the other thing about this 3-max thing is that I also got like 11th on another of the three three entries I put in. And that one had double. That one had Woodruff and Kershaw in it. And so overall, it was great. I mean, I couldn't quite get there to win because, I mean, if this is like really greedy, I ended up like 6 points off. So going into that last inning, if they threw him out there for one more inning.
Which by the way, I just want to say, that was Dave Roberts committing, to me, a violent sin. I actually felt like the Dodgers were going to get punished for it.
Dude, when they got the first guy on base, I'm like, oh, my God.
Well, no, not only are you not bringing him in, you decided to, after the first game of the playoffs, remove your closer, and now we're going to use – first of all, this kid's got incredible stuff, but that's a weird spot to put that guy in.
Right.
And I would just – Kershaw throw 93 pitches. He was absolutely cruising. At least let him pitch until they get a runner on. Not only that, Yelich was going to bat in the inning second. Yeah. So why would he not come back out? So I was pulling for you thinking these guys are crazy for doing this right now.
And again, the other thing again about yesterday, and again, we got to do – when we do more kind of like real-time sports like when basketball comes back again, whenever that comes back, and baseball again, we really got to do more stuff leading up to lock or whatever because, we did our thing or whatever, but so much of it happened after we did our content, right? I mean, Darvish was scratched, and it'd be cool to show the people how we kind of adjust kind of on the fly because Bobby's like really like expert adjusting on the fly, and I'm like usually really the nut low at it just because like the way my life works or whatever. So I'm always happy, even if sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm always happy when I actually put in the effort that you're supposed to do to stay on top of your lineups.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. And by the way, look, you had a much better night than I did, but I doubled my money for the night on a night.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did because I played the 555 and I ended up making, I stacked the White Sox, which didn't work except for Robert, and I had the pretty chalky actual San Diego on the other side, but I really liked San Diego. The problem was what I did was I stacked them with Cronenworth, who was good. You know what I mean? And he was my alternative though to Pham to play all the way up from Cronenworth. He was 1% owned, so I played a very chalky lineup with a 1% guy, which is not usually what I would do batting ninth, but it still worked out. You know what I mean? And it's weird on those slates, like you said, we had to adjust. So the whole plans from the morning were out the window, but we didn't know that game was going to. Nobody knew that game was going to be postponed, and you know, I mean, even Roth over there was not on it. So
for today, it's so funny. So today I'm committing like a really like violent sin of business. Okay, so there are two terrible things you could do in the world of business. One is to take a really bad idea and keep doing it, right? Mm-hmm. And another thing is take a really good idea that's working and stop doing it. So I'm going to commit sin number 2 in that in baseball today, I'm only playing like the big lottery terms. I'm playing like 40 entries in like the 18, as opposed to what I've been doing well at, which has been a freaking single entry. But you know, that's just what I'm doing today. Because I don't have any conviction anyway, so I'm just gonna blast away.
Can I make some advice? Can I give you my personal advice on this, which has always been my strategy and long. Like, I think on these 2-game slates, like just leave everything on the table. Just play the bottom guys. Play the guys you like the most of the guys who are going to be on the league. Like, I know it sounds obvious, but I mean really play them. I don't mean like mix in a few chalky things. I mean like just go nuts with them. That's what I would do. And I'm going to probably do the opposite tonight because I'm going to just be playing one lineup. So we're on sort of
excellent. I love it.
We were totally on opposite pages. You were Mr. An entry here, a few entries here and there and stuff. And now I'm max entry. Now I'm one entry, and it's just crazy.
Well, because I'm screwing around. What I'm doing is I'm doing 20. I'm admitting I'm screwing around. So I put my projections, I did my stacking, I did whatever, and then I ran 20 lineups with just kind of no salary filters or whatever. And then I have like another group of 20 lineups where honestly I have like an average of like 1,500 left on the table or something like that in some of these. So we're gonna see what happens.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird. But I think that's right. All right, so let's get into it. Let's talk about it. I guess we'll just go because it's 2 games. Let's just go game by game. I know it's a little different than what we've been doing. Chicago, Miami. Well, we get this matchup again. We get the chalk again. Maybe if you want to get creative on this slate, the answer is to play Sixto and fade Darvish. That's what I would throw out.
Yeah, not for me.
It's a 2-game slate.
I know.
And I expect Darvish to be good. Here's some of the factors that maybe will talk you off of Darvish if you want to go that route. Miami's been pesky. He struggled at times in the postseason and in big starts in the regular season. I'm reaching, but we have to reach. We have a 2-game slate. I'm going to start Darvish in my main lineup, but I think Sixto is a really, really awesome tournament play, and it would not surprise me the least bit if he outscored Darvish tonight.
Okay. I'm going to be doing I'm going to be doing the chalk. I'm going to do him and Flaherty, and I'm going to do him and Sixto together.
Yeah. It's weird because Flaherty is clearly the second best pitcher on the slate, but it's actually Sixto will be. I don't know. Actually, they're going to be close. They're both going to be good. I think this is going to be interesting to talk about this other game. As far as hitting goes in this game, we're going to have to get some pieces. We actually legally, I think, are obligated to actually have a piece of this game from a hitter's perspective. Maybe not on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, I know you would have to.
I think so.
What are we doing here?
All right. So let me just pull this up really, really quickly. But you're getting some of everything. Now, the first thing, okay, when you're doing the 2-game slate, right, how many hitters you're going to allow against your pitchers?
It depends on all slates, but I would say today I would be willing to go as high as 2 or 3 if it was the Padres against Flaherty, or if I was or I would go 2 or 3 if I liked Miami and wanted to go against you. Probably 2.
Yeah, so I actually have a couple of Miami dudes in here against Darvish.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple lines with Dickerson. I have lines with Birdie. He's hitting second, right? So that's just the way I kind of turned out.
Yeah. Okay. So we have the crosswind. It's really cold. I don't expect this to be a good game for offense, obviously, but we have to try and do something, man. And Birdie's going to have some ownership, but he's good. He's a good option. I would consider the same thing with Corey Dickerson. The those would be my favorites probably.
What about Joyce?
I think Joyce is interesting. I don't know any world where I would really need that savings exactly, but
okay.
And he's going to get more bats today because you're facing you. And I mean, that's actually kind of interesting. I can get behind that. And he's going to be low owned too. All of these Marlins outside of Dickerson and Birdie will be in single digit ownership, which is pretty hard to do on a small slate. So I would just encourage people to try and get funny with some of them. Like maybe you play Chad Wallach as your catcher. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to be playing Caratini probably for a little cheaper because he's also going to be low owned on the other side. And I just like him a little better than Wallach, even though I'm fine with Wallach. But yeah, you're going to get low ownership, and that's all I can say is that if you're making a bunch of lineups, you should absolutely have like at least a mini Marlin stack, at least a 3-man or a 4-man. A lot can happen. It's a 4-game slate. The wins can change. There's things that happen, and I don't know, man. I'm sort of grasping at straws. It's a 2-game slate. What are we supposed to do? But yeah, my favorite low-owned plays from this game are Caratini. Well, then Dickerson and Birdie are my favorite, but they're going to be high owned. And then just a massive, massive Cubs chalk. I just will play nobody else except for Caratini from the Cubs, and I'll make that a rule. I don't mind it if you want to do something. If it was anybody else, it would be Jason Hayward or maybe Bodie. But because of their potentially lower ownership. Actually, let me rephrase that. Caratini and Javier Baez are the only guys I would play in this game.
Javier Baez, I don't know if you knew this. I mean, you know it because you know baseball. But as much as Chris Bryant stinks, and this is like really analytical stuff, Javi Baez really sucks.
Well, I'm not going to sign off on this even a little bit. He
hasn't hit the ball all year.
He's having a down year for sure, no question about that. Historically, I can't sign off on that. He's been too good of a hitter, too many big spots. And he's always been a great DFS guy because he's a guy who usually gets lower ownership than he should because they're loaded position and he can steal bases for you. But I just was going to say, like, I don't think that, I never said, by the way, I always said Chris Bryant was not a top 25 hitter. And I still can't believe to this day that people argued with me. They told me I was crazy for saying Soto and Acuna were going to be better than he was. I'm like, okay, guys, at me now. Let's come on back. Come on, Big T. Come on, guys. Come back at me now because it's ridiculous. All right. Anyway, I just think that you just want to play the lower ownership. It's a bad weather game anyway. The fact that the Cubs might be the highest owned team, just stay away from this as much as you can on a small slate.
Yeah, I was unaware that the Cubs were going to be the highest owned. If you want to know the truth,
that's what my projections have right now. I mean, at least
I know that. I didn't even think about it. You know what I mean? I'm just sort of. I mean, I just kind of got where I got it. I got all kinds. I mean, my top team by check on a lot is like the Cardinals. Actually, and the Padres, like the other game. So I don't know. I do have some Cubs. I mean, but it's not like an inordinate amount. So would you consider like just literally just like fading all the Cubs and just do max leverage, take Sixto, this would be a kind of an interesting script. Have max 1 Cubs in like all lineups or something like that. That'll get you different like really quickly. Yeah.
Other things about the situation I just want to point out. Sixto's playing with a 1-game lead. They can give him a little bit more of a leash. They don't need to pull him at the first. Now they might, but they don't need to. Okay. And I made that point. By the way, I'd like to take a little credit for the Dunning call yesterday because the first natural thing I almost did was switch to Dunning when everything happened. But I just kept remembering to myself, God, how bad would it be if I played Dunning after making this great case against him, even on a 3-game slate? And then I just decided to end up skipping him. And, of course, what happens? He gets 2 runners on in the first inning. They pull him out of the game.
Let me tell you something. I am so I forgot to mention, I'm so happy with what I did with Dunning. So, again, when everything happened, I redid everything. I used actually Fantasy Cruncher for this particular one, right? And I ran my stuff, and it spit out like 80, like all the Dunning, like every bit of it, right? And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense because when I ran my own stuff, I didn't really feel that Dunning was that big a deal. And what I did was I uploaded my own projections into Fantasy Cruncher instead of using theirs. And I'm looking at it, doesn't make any sense. And I saw that for whatever reason, my Dunning projection did not replace theirs. So their projection basically gave me all the Dunning. I'm like, well, screw you. So when I replaced it with mine, it basically gave me 0 Dunning, all the Woodruff, and redid everything else, and that's why I ended up winning. So I was happy when I saw it went to the third inning. I saw Dunning wasn't in there. I'm like, all right, let's go. So again, but your take on Dunning was pretty freaking good.
Now, well, the part about the Sixto thing that's going to maybe change things is that if we really do get low ownership on Garrett Richards, first of all, they're going to have a quick hook with him. So it's not a great, exciting play if he ends up.
He pitched yesterday, right? I mean,
I don't know what's going to happen. I think they're going to use it as a bullpen game. I'm curious to try. I was trying to find who would be the middle relief, potentially getting the win kind of a guy in that situation, and it was hard for me to do. Because my first instinct on this slate is to stack the hell out of the Padres.
Yeah, sure.
And basically try to fade the other stuff. Like I just wonder how many people will play how many Padres against Flaherty. That's what I want to figure out. That's where I'm stuck at, and I don't love this St. Louis lineup in general, although they've been really good lately. I'm stuck, man, a little bit. I'm trying to figure this one out.
Yeah, I mean, those are definitely the two. I mean, I like those hitters. I mean, I like the hitters on both sides of that game. So we may as well try to
let's try to play the guys who are going to be the lowest owned from this game. So let's do that. Because I don't think that we're talking about – look, is Will Myers a better play last night than Trent Grisham batting seventh versus first? No. Did he hit 2 home runs? Yes.
Well, let's start with the hottest hitter of them all. Let's start with Tommy Pham. Is he going to be high owned?
Tommy Pham is not the hottest hitter. Okay.
Yesterday, he was 4 for 5.
Yeah, but the other guys had 2 home runs.
Everybody knows. You know what I mean? Like what's with other people, right?
Tommy Pham is going to be extremely popular. Probably the most popular outside of Tatis and Grisham. Will Myers will be low owned. Low owned meaning 25% or less or 20% or less. I think Cronenworth is going to be low owned, but somehow other people disagree with me, especially if he's batting ninth. Hosmer should have lower ownership. Ostanola will have lower ownership. So, those are the sort of the guys, and then you throw in a Tatis or Machado. And by the way, even Machado is not going to be crazy high owned today. There's other options at third base. I'm interested in this. I'm interested in I think the Padres end up slightly less owned because people have a hard time putting, or a stack less owned because people are going to have a hard time putting a stack against Flaherty. And Flaherty's obviously has to be your normal SP2. But what if we did change it to Sixto and just played the front game as if we did on a big slate in a bad weather game in Chicago, as opposed to a great weather game in San Diego? Take one hitter from each side, and maybe a Caratini or a Dickerson or your other guy, Birdie. And then we just stack the hell out of San Diego.
I'd like to say, by the way, it would be quite the anti-Sheets troll if Garrett Richards actually pitched 7 innings and just shut them down.
Yeah,
I had literally the whole year to play him. I finally went all in on him when the freaking game got canceled because of freaking COVID, and he hasn't. I don't think he's pitched since then. So that would be quite the troll.
Yeah, I mean he's not really going to pitch, man. He's pitched the last 2 games. I mean.
Oh, that's right. He came in off the.
But not much, you know what I mean. But still, I don't know. I see a lot of pieces of things that are going to happen tonight. What I would just like to say is that I know that they lost. I mean, the Padres have been really unlucky in this because they did really, really lose their top, in my opinion, by far their top 2 pitchers. So they're piecing this together. So I don't think we can play a Padre. I can't find a guy in the bullpen that I like enough. Maybe somebody else has a question or somebody that can think of something. I just can't get it. I don't like anyone enough. So I think that you have to play Darvish with Sixto or Flaherty. But I think that playing him with – what if you played him with Flaherty and then still stacked San Diego, hoping to get more in the late games, hoping for some strikeouts and some solo home runs?
I mean, I think the reality is that what you really want to do is have his, just from flexibility perspective, just make sure you have a decent amount from the late game, just so that whatever you have from the early game, you could screw around if you could see some results coming in. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. I do, but again, the pitching though is going to be where it's at, and I just think that I might go this route, even though I think Flaherty is clearly the better play overall. In general, I guess, but there is a path here that I'm going to go with Sixto. I think in my big lineups, I really do.
This is why I'm glad. This is perfect because this is why I'm not playing any the big one thing. I honestly wouldn't. I guess you'd have to try to figure it out, but if you put a gun to my head between who my second pitcher would be, between Flaherty and Sixto, I could spend like an hour or 2 hours trying to decipher it. I don't know.
You want to spend 5 minutes and try and do it for me? Because I don't think you know who Sixto is. That's my personal take. I think I know who this kid is. I feel like definitely there's a combustibility factor here. But his stuff is electric. Flaherty is too, by the way. He's facing a weak Chicago Cubs team that strikes out a ton against righties in a bad weather game versus taking a guy who's more expensive, more popular against the second best offense in baseball in a good weather game. Just seems like I got to go this way. That's just me. I'd like to we disagree, though.
No. Hey, but you've come up with that. So you're going to probably go Darvish, Sanchez in your main.
I will go Darvish, Sanchez in my main lineup, I think that's just what I'm going to do. I mean, honestly, like, if this is a bigger slate even, I could just play the weather angle. This is a 54-degree game versus a game that's 95. Like, what are we talking about here? And you're facing the Padres. It's got to be a little bit scary, right?
Yeah.
Like, these guys can hit. I think other people will catch on to a little bit of what I'm doing. So trying to get to Miami or like the same kind of thing. To Miami or to Chicago guys that are cheap, that are low owned. So right now, like I would have like Birdie and Aguiar or Birdie and Cooper. I actually think Cooper's going to be even lower owned. I don't know which one I like better. It's hard to take guys in the. I guess it'd probably be Aguiar. It's just going to be hard to hit one out today. And that feels wrong too. Like it feels wrong to use your first baseman in a game where it's going to be pretty hard to hit the ball out.
So I guess, like you were saying, in GPPs, I guess you're kind of forced to do some lineups with Sixto and Flaherty, right, and no Darvish, I guess.
Yeah. And if you did a Sixto Flaherty, that's a great way to go.
Right.
Hope something happens. People get injured. These people are human. I mean, look what happened with the Heat in Game 1 of the Finals. To switch to a different topic, but that's a great example of we're counting on these guys for all this, but people get hurt. Things happen. Pitchers get blisters like Buehler had the other night. Like you can play on a slate where there's going to be such concentrated ownership and it's going to be 90% plus. You should be going the other way. The wind is not really carrying out, John. I don't have that at all. I have it as going across the field right now and blowing at 9 miles an hour. And it's 54 degrees. I want to keep emphasizing that. It's really, really cold. It's the coldest game. It might be the coldest game we've seen this year, actually, to be honest, because we haven't had the bad times. Winds light, mostly left to right. That's it. That's all we got. No winds blowing out right now, John. All right. I think I've got my setting down for this. I do like this Padres thing, and then I think the one guy who I want to make sure I'm playing is Dylan Carlson. I understand that he'll have some ownership, but probably not as much as he should. But I love Dylan Carlson in the middle of that order, super cheap, and he's my favorite of the Cardinals by far.
Yeah, my favorite Cardinal. Yeah, it's just got to be him. Yeah, I'm looking at this. It's just got to be. Well, I mean, I like Edman. But yeah, Edman Carlson. I mean, it's.
Ooh, I got my lineup that I wanted. I got it. Sorry.
Yeah, I get this is great because I'll when it locks or not locks whatever when it locks I want to check it out and I'll go on there see what you got. But everything will say like 6 unknown players yet probably or 5 unknown players yet. So I'm looking forward to see what you come up with as one lineup because I couldn't do it.
Kind of like my little strategy here. I actually think this is going to work out for me. I mean, I don't know if it could. Okay, never mind about baseball, but it could work out for me.
I mean, what you're supposed to do probably is not play Tatis, right?
Probably, but I mean, he's still significantly better than everybody else, and that's where the Baez play becomes a great tournament play because that's the one guy who could stay low owned on the Cubs. People are going to try and play the Cubs today. I'm telling you right now. There is not enough people paying attention to this cold weather, and that there's not. I mean, honestly, people. And it's true, there is some volatility with Sixto. He can go one way or the other. Anyway, we can jump over if you want to and talk. You want to talk a little? Did you look at the NBA thing today? It's going to be very competitive anyway.
I didn't know they were playing. So the NBA. No, I didn't. So you want? We can talk about it though.
I can talk. I can talk about it off the top of my head. I don't need to look at anything. It's the one game. It's the finals of games that I've literally watched every minute and watched and rewound many parts of it.
Well, I mean, I definitely have an opinion. on the game.
Oh, so what is the spread anyway on the game? Actually, you know what's funny is I know all the stuff about it, but I don't know the actual spread sheets. You know the spread? I think we have no spread, right?
I don't have it.
Oh, I've got the Lakers by 10 or 9.5.
Yeah, I mean this is a lock.
I will reserve my. I saw things in that first game that I.
No, I meant some of Miami's a total lock.
Oh, yeah, let's go. I'm more into that side, to be honest with you, but I'm a little worried because I honestly don't know who's playing, and I don't think that they do either entirely. Bam wants to play, and they have him as out, but he wants to play. He says he's playing, but the team says he's not. Dragic is not going to play. That one we know. Jimmy Butler is going to be hobbled. There is a ton you can do DFS-wise in a one-game slate, which is pretty rare. So I'm playing the 555s today. I'm playing the big ones for basketball because I think there's enough you can get out of this speculation. What sucks is, Sheets, we speculated on some guys the last time. Oh. They just freaking nailed it. The blowout run, but also the injury run did help them too. But you know what killed it? I realized I would have won all. I could have had a shot at them. I really could have. But the real thing that killed me was that the Heat were making it just close enough to keep the Lakers starters in the court. You know, just close enough. That 35-point lead was looking beautiful. And then the problem is that the Heat were scoring. The guys I love, like Nunn and Olynyk, just played too well.
Build whatever. But first of all, I mean, you should know by now. For those of you who've been watching these freaking BetQL things, you know, freaking down 1-0 game twos are freaking my freaking thing, man. I mean, Miami.
He's pretty much always right about this stuff, so that's actually a good point. I'm surprised, Sheets, the spread isn't higher. I really am. I thought it would be like 14 or 15 potentially. I really know it sounds like a crazy number, but I mean, you just lost two of your best three players and your best player by far, in my opinion.
So who's not playing?
Bam and Dragic as of right now.
All right, so I mean, it says he's doubtful Friday.
Dragic is by far better than Butler. I just think I think he's going to end up having the better career.
So this is kind of ridiculous, right? So if Bam is out, we're just right back to Myers-Leonard?
First of all, I still think it was the right idea to try it the other night. I don't know why he didn't play a minute. That's what scares me about it. So you don't want to lock this guy in or anything. He's also going to get a little bit of love tonight. Now, from a real basketball perspective, if he doesn't get the love, I think you got to go there because there's just too much opportunity for him there. The big mistake people are going to make today is they're going to play Jimmy Butler. And maybe you could argue that he keeps them in. He's not that kind of a star. He doesn't do that. You know what I mean? Unless he's playing against TJ Warren, those little narratives don't work as much for him. What I would be looking at is playing, here. I would prefer Hero over Butler today with the price difference. I love Duncan Robinson because I think it's the minutes. He's going to have to play minutes, and he's long and big. People don't realize he's like 6'9". He's going to be low owned because he played absolutely terrible and took 3 shots. He looked nervous. He didn't look like himself at all. He's too expensive. All the things. I'm going to take a shot on him just because of the ownership discount. And I feel the same way about Jay Crowder. I feel like that's what we want to go to. We want to get some Kendrick Nunn in there. Obviously, he's going to be popular. Iguodala, assuming the game stays close. I actually thought Iguodala, in spite of all the team, however they looked, I actually thought he played the best consistent game for any of the normal Miami players the other day. So assuming it's close, you're going to see him. You're going to see a little bit of Derek Jones out there. Could he be an interesting pivot off of Leonard? But Leonard's not really going to be chalky. So all of these guys are up in the air. And basically where I'm at is trying to go with the lower ones who I know are going to get minutes, like Robinson. And then let's just say I was making 100 lineups tonight, and I thought Myers-Leonard would be 15% owned. I would have him 35%.
Just hold on a second. Let's talk about this for a second because I want to bring up a guy that I brought up half jokingly before, but if he's not like in a suit and tie, and Myers-Leonard's going to be like really popular, why?
Not
Haslam.
Udonis Haslam, I don't think he even play anymore. I'm not even sure he's physically able to. I honestly don't think he does.
He played one game in the bubble. He played 24 minutes on August 14th. Played 24 minutes, was 3 for 5 from the field, 8 rebounds, and 7 points and 17 fantasy points. Okay, and he's not played a minute since then.
He's like blacked out. I can't even draw up his past from the sites. There's nothing for him. Oh, here it is. Here it is. It's Udonis Haslem played in 2011 with the Miami Heat. There it is. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I just couldn't do it. There's not a path in the world. It's kind of interesting though.
I mean, it beats me. If he's warming up in a uniform, I'm gonna play him. I promise you.
I mean, sure. That's weird though. It's so weird. And also, like, even if he does play, what are the odds that he outscores the other guys in his range? I think it's so small. But the weirdest part is like even Myers Leonard, like, who hasn't played a minute, he could start tonight. Like, that's on the table. You know what I mean?
Oh, so who's the chalk? Like, Olynyk's the chalk, right?
Olynyk, well, obviously I think LeBron and AD are going to be the mega chalk.
Well, forget that for a second. From the Miami guys, so if we put Olynyk in the captain, right? Mm-hmm. Then what does that get you? But
I think that this captain thing is getting a little bit much, man. I think that we're reaching on these. No, I'm serious, because you can't win with it. Like, I looked at it the other day. You literally can't win with it when you face a team that has this kind of concentrated offense.
Wait. So with no Bam, why you really don't think that Olynyk can score 40 fantasy points?
I absolutely think he can. I think LeBron and AD, one of those guys, scores 75 most likely tonight, 70 to 75. And I just think it's hard mathematically to get there other ways. I'm going to probably do some of it. I always do. And I actually can cash like that. But it's just so hard to see how LeBron.
So Butler's going to be out, huh? He said he's going to.
Butler's going to play.
What?
Butler's going to play.
Oh, and you just think that's a fade?
I think he's injured. And I think he's going to play, and I think he'll do fine. I think people play. He's going to be the third highest owned player by far. Not even close. And everybody thinks they can play these guys. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to captain Olynyk. People are going to do this. This is not off the board at all. And I just don't want any part of it. I think the sneaky captains are Tyler Hero. Or, honestly, it's weird because the price is so much cheaper and it doesn't make a lot of sense what I'm about to say, and bear with me. Kendrick Nunn they made him too much, which actually might make people just not play him in general. But there is like a path for him here. Like there's a path for him to be the highest scoring player on the Heat, fantasy-wise. A really good path. The Lakers have trouble with quick guards. The problem is you have to just they have trouble guarding they actually guard the three pretty well. But they're really good. They're exceptional at stopping interior anything. They've got the big bodies, and it's going to be very hard for Jimmy Butler to get to the rim as much as he'd like to. He's going to have to make some outside shots, which he should 25% three-point shooter. It's going to be very hard for them unless they get a Robinson hot, a Nunn hot, something like that. But with all of this, I just want to point out that Alex Caruso and Iguodala, who are probably going to be similarly owned to how they were last week, everybody's going to overreact to the new, we got these little toys now. So those guys are going to be like in the 20 to 35% range when they maybe should be like in the 50 to 60% range.
So you like Caruso and Iguodala? Do you like either of them more than the other?
I'm always going to pick – well, Caruso's minutes I feel are more secure in general, but this is a weird spot where Iguodala might actually have some upside because they lost – that's a lot of ball handling and movement. So I guess I would probably give Iguodala the slight edge tonight, but they're both interesting is my point.
So I have a lineup fired up right here that right now has someone in the last utility at 3,600 that's neither of those guys. And why don't you rank these guys for me, if you wouldn't mind?
Yeah.
At the same price. Dwight Howard, Alex Caruso, and Andre Iguodala.
I didn't realize they dropped the price off of Howard. I somehow literally have looked at this and didn't even notice that. Why did they do that? Boy, Dwight Howard is kind of appealing. Huh?
That's going to cost me $75 then, right? Because that means I got to do 3 lineups. I got to put one in each of them. All right, fair enough. Okay.
I didn't answer though. I think Iguodala probably makes the most sense, but I mean Howard's like the guy who could go out there and score. I think he's the more likely one, to go out and score like 40. You know, but I prefer Olynyk over all of them. I know that you already have him in that lineup. I can tell, but yeah, I don't. I mean, it's interesting. I don't know where I stand on those guys. I think I would just go Iguodala, but Dwight Howard as a tournament play with a lower ownership and higher upside, maybe. Well, I don't know about higher, but he's a good play. I think it's definitely Iguodala first, and then Caruso, and then him.
Okay.
But I do think Dwight Howard, he's a great tournament play. It's why do they make him so cheap? I don't get it.
Is he going to be like mega chalk because he's so cheap?
No, because Kelly Olynyk's going to eat up all the ownership, and then you've also, I'm mostly playing 2 Lakers and then just getting 4 Heat in all my lineups. I know that's not going to be completely off the board, but I'll find some guys.
Yeah, I like your idea because my initial build, again, I have 3 lineups right now. They're all at the same except for that last 5. They all have Hero in the captain. I like that.
Yeah. Boy, I'm actually excited about baseball, which I didn't think was going to be possible even. I'm so excited.
Baseball?
By the way, I want to say about these playoffs, now that we've got some time, sort of mess around time, you sort of know what we're going with these things. I just want to say, like, I hope this never, ever happens again because it's the most ridiculous way of measuring who's the better teams are. But it's absolutely awesome. I've thoroughly enjoyed the baseball playoffs. I actually think they've been, like, just 1,000 times more fun than I would have imagined. I was sitting there, excitedly watching the Padres and the Dodgers game at the same time last night. And I don't even have a rooting interest in the Padres game. It just was fun to watch. It's fun to have these consistent all-day games. And we only have 2 today because, the schedule's going to do that. I don't know. I feel like we've been in a great spot with baseball.
Yeah, they've done a great job. And the thing is that, COVID has run through pretty much all the teams, not all of them, but it's impacting them all. And, they're fortunate in that, unlike football, baseball, if you miss one game, it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? You can make it up pretty quickly, run a doubleheader if you have to, whatever it is. But, like, you have to postpone a game in football, it causes all kinds of stress, which is you're seeing already, like this week in football.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk football here? Or
no, I'd love to do a recording. We'll do a recording that we're going to upload for both QLTV and we'll put on our channel too. But you could throw out a highlight if you got one.
No, okay. I'll give you my overall view in case people just watch this one and don't watch the recording.
Yeah.
I'm doing probably the opposite of what I'm supposed to. So at the end of last week, all we heard throughout, again, people are very, very recency biased and all this stuff, that, oh my God, what happened with all these constructions? What you're really supposed to do is just pay up for all these freaking wide receivers, and that's what you have to do. And the running backs are just whatever. I'm going to be the opposite this week. I am probably locking in the chalky, expensive running backs and spreading out elsewhere. That's where I'm going. Maybe that's not as a hot take. Maybe that is what everybody's going to do. Not actually, but what's that?
I don't think so.
Really?
I think it's a good take. No, I think it's a good take. Actually, this is where I've been all year. It just hasn't worked out for me. But it was a lot better to pay up for running back when we had Christian McCaffrey, when we had when we had Saquon. There was a lot more options that you could the people would have to decide between. The problem with this one to me is that, like, I actually think that the ownership projections on Kamara are way low. I think he's going to be much, much higher owned than he is. But I think you are right. I think that no one is going to pay up for these guys. I still don't know entirely how I feel about it because I think there's some really, really good values this week. But I like that as a general take. I like trying to do things like that. And by the way, when I've won tournaments I won a tournament once the only tournament I ever won with more than 500,000 people of any kind. But I won a football tournament and it was doing the same kind of thing. You try, and that was actually a one lineup weird shot. But you do this thing where if you try to focus on one differentiating thing that everybody else is going to do like that, the paying up at running backs. It's not like these guys are bad players. It's not like Dalvin Cook's not a great running back. You know what I mean? I think Zeke and Kamara and Cook will be the only ones that really have ownership near the top. But you could even play all 3 of them because people aren't going to play all 3 of those guys together. Or you could drop down and take a shot with Edwards-Helaire, who might be a little lower owned than those guys. Or you could throw one lower guy like a Mixon or a Henderson in. But the idea of the overall paying up, I really agree with, and I think that's a good way to go.
Yeah, so just so you guys know, in case you don't go for the recording, like what I'm doing, I mean, in football with these running backs, I think I'm literally playing 5 running backs total. So I'm playing just in pornographic amount of Kamara and Zeke, and also I don't know why he's going to be low owned or whatever it is, but he can't be. I'm playing just all the Josh Jacobs pretty much, and the guy you just mentioned from Kansas City.
Why? So let's get into that for one quick second. Why is Josh Jacobs going to be as low owned as he's going to be?
I don't know.
I know sports pretty well. I don't have a good answer for you.
So whatever. Let me lose.
Did you watch the Raiders play? I don't think people are watching the Raiders play enough. This is their they want him. They want to be a run the ball we're going to beat you down team, and he's going to be the featured guy, and that's a great game. So I'm totally with you on that one.
And the other two running backs I'm going to play are the guy you mentioned, the Saint Hilaire from Kansas City, and our guy from Houston, David Johnson.
Our boy David Johnson, he's had some little up and down so far, but I just haven't gotten him right, I guess, the first few weeks. But I just want to point out this, I know he's going to have some ownership. I'm very confused with what the Rams are doing in their backfield in general, but I do think that Darrell Henderson is going to be not a. I don't want to say, I don't like using the word tough fades because there's lots of other options, but that's the guy who sort of stands out to me as being like, ugh, why do I not just play this guy and forget about spending up?
You like him more than Mike Davis?
I like everybody more than well, no, that's not true. I play Mike Davis. Okay, I don't know what to do with Mike Davis, to be honest with you. I feel confused by his. I feel confused at his chalk with his role in a weird situation, but he did get enough rushing attempts. It is Arizona, but I actually side much more with the passing game, which actually kind of does make me like Davis. I think I would just have those guys. I like Henderson better than Davis, yes. And he's also going to be lower on.
That makes sense. I mean, I have Mike Davis right now in my cash. I think in my cash build somewhere.
That makes sense to me, though. I'm fine with that. He's going to get work. It's just such, we've seen it already with Jonathan Taylor, and he was actually even really good in one of those games, and good in all the games. But he didn't put up these numbers that you need to win tournaments, and everybody was playing him at 45%. We're going to record Carmen right after this to answer about the video dropping. So it'll probably be up there in the next couple hours or so, but definitely have you ready well before Sunday.
All right. So, yeah, the BetQL people have to come to watch our recording for the full NFL breakdown. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, guys. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in with us. Me and Sheets are about to do another video. So for Sheets, I'm going to say that good luck out there. And listen to this guy's information. This guy's winning all the baseball stuff now. It's annoying. I feel like I created a monster a long time ago, and now he's surpassing me. It's driving me nuts. No, I'm just kidding. I'm thrilled for him. Let's keep it going, guys, though, tonight. And, hit us up on Twitter with any questions. Oh, please don't DM me. I keep getting DMs for questions. Like, I'm getting, tons more lately. Please publicly ask the questions. I will be happy to answer any question. It just makes it a lot easier. Anyway, guys, you guys are awesome. We'll see you guys soon. See you at the top of the